Examiner this evening. The purpose of this hearing is to allow me to receive evidence and testimony on the matters that are pending. I make a recommendation only to the county commissioners. I don't make the final decision. I will be submitting my recommendation to staff within 2 weeks of this evening's hearing. The application will then be scheduled for deliberations before the county commissioners. If you wish to give testimony, I need you to fill out one of the sheets in the back, and when you come to the podium, please give your name and address for the record before you begin your testimony. First, staff will introduce their application, then we will hear from the applicant. After the applicant's testimony, we will then get into the public comment sheets. We will hear from those who are in favor, those who are neutral, and then those who are opposed. And then we'll check to see if we have anyone on Zoom that would like to speak. The public not speaking will be read into the record. We will then give the applicant and/or their representative an opportunity for rebuttal of any testimony stated into the record from the public before we close the public meeting. After that point, we will receive no more testimony. The time limits are 30 minutes for the applicant's presentation, 3 minutes for public testimony, and 15 minutes for applicant rebuttal. I would ask that you direct all of your testimony to me and not to the audience. Are there any questions regarding these proceedings? Seeing none, we will get underway with our first case, number CUP 23-0004.
Nice to meet you, Joan.
Hey.
I'm Brooke Saucer, Community Development, talking to you today about a proposed wireless communication facility, applicant being Weiss Towers and Inland Cellular. We do have Nathan with Weiss Towers in the room and a couple of representatives from Inland Cellular online.
Write it down.
Am I pointing at the right thing?
Yeah, you are.
Amy, I thought you checked this.
Try now.
Thank you.
Sure.
So this is an aerial map of the approximate location of the cell tower right off of Black Lake down by Highway 3, partway between St. Mary's and Rose Lake. It's got to take a fun drive for a site visit. And just basic summary of the project is the installation of a 150-foot tall lattice tower and a small equipment shelter building next to it, all within a 75-foot by 75-foot fenced and leased area. And the purpose of the project is to fill the gap of communication near Highway 3 and Black Lake. And here are some maps of the zoning. As you can see, it's all agricultural zoning exclusively around the project, and the comprehensive plan designation is country and adjacent to shoreline. I will note that the acreage listed when the public notice first went out and on these maps, technically the landowner did do an exempt division, and so really the left half is technically the subject site. So it looks a little different. Here's the site plan. The red outline is the part that is the site of the application. And as you can see, taking off from Upper Black Lake Road, which is a public road, and then covered by easements through neighboring properties, kind of up a little ridge to the top where we have the leased area in the bottom corner. And zooming in on that nice square, we have the equipment shelter and where the tower will be. And to give you kind of an idea of the topography in the area, this is from Google Earth, kind of adjusting the perspectives. It may look a little funky with the color to the left. I think that's just different times of Google Earth's image. But you can see we have Black Lake immediately to the west, and then Highway 3 to the east, and kind of the Trail of the Coeur d'Alenes kind of following, right along that way. And so Inland Cellular did provide a radio frequency map showing the area the tower would serve and the strength of that signal. I'll just call that the after map to make it easy. No map of the existing coverage was provided because there's no cell service from Inland Cellular. And maybe the applicant could clarify this during their turn, but it's unknown how much service may or may not be available from other carriers. We do have a little bit of data on that from Cell Mapper, which is kind of a app that community members can use to document where there is or isn't good service or cell towers. And so based on those maps that the applicant provided to us from this kind of public crowdsourcing app, we have a couple different maps. The one on the left is a map of Verizon's coverage. Top right is AT&T's coverage. Bottom right is T-Mobile's coverage. And there's kind of a key on the bottom of green being better quality service. There's a lot of parts of the map that we don't have any data on, so kind of where that base layer image is, where it's not green, black, or red, that's just where there isn't any data to really document anything. So we do see that there is some weak signal coverage in the area, mainly by Verizon and AT&T. This is the proposed coverage radio frequency map. This is the after map. In this case, generally speaking, red is the area of greatest signal strength, followed by orange, and then green at the weakest. So the star is where the cell tower is, and then kind of just pointing out the trail of the Coeur d'Alenes, and then Highway 3 kind of to the right. The applicant did provide some photo simulations of what it would look like, since this is a more scenic area with some recreational amenities like the trail. And they provided simulations from 3 different perspectives, from different points, some from State Highway 3. And you can see there's a RV at the base of the tower. That's kind of a good visual marker to start with, tower being behind that. And here's another angle. And the report kind of summarized that the impacts, the visual impacts were minimal, and that a view of the base of the structure was pretty unlikely given the trees and vegetation, but that, the top part of the tower would be visible from some angles. The applicant did provide this angle photo looking out toward the trail of the Coeur d'Alenes. There's a little bit less vegetative screening from this side. A photo simulation from the trail itself was not provided. In terms of public agencies' comments, East Side Highway District said need to update an approach permit. General comments from the building division about having structural design by the engineer and needing building permits. At some point, the Federal Aviation Administration did provide a determination of no hazard to air navigation, and marking and lighting was not necessary for aviation safety. ITD, Idaho Transportation Division, Department of Aeronautics, and the Coeur d'Alene Airport provided similar comments concurring with the FAA. And this property is within the institutional controls program of contaminated soils from legacy mining. Panhandle Health did confirm that even though it's within the mapped location of those soils, these soils were examined and they were not contaminated, and so there wouldn't need to be any special measures or remedial action. And again, the airport concurring with the FAA. We had statements of no concerns from Shoshone Fire District, General Panhandle Health District, since there isn't anything producing wastewater associated with this project. Idaho Department of Parks and Recreation and Kootenai County Parks and Waterways were both sent a request for comment given the proximity to the trail and some county-owned land in that area, and they did not specify any specific concerns. And then we did not receive comment from the Kootenai County Sheriff or from the Coeur d'Alene Tribe. You will note in the case file that there are 2 letters from tribe, departments, organizations. Red Spectrum Communications is the internet service provider that's owned and operated by the tribe. They did provide a letter of support. I was not able to get in touch with our normal planning contact for the tribe, and so I don't know if that comment can be taken as the only comment from the tribe, or if there would be other comments, but we have not received anything else. There was also a letter from the Tribal Historic Preservation Office confirming that there were no cultural resources on the site itself. There are some in the area, but none on this site. In terms of public comment, we received 2 comments, one in support and one opposed. The one in support commented that there was not great cell service, their neighboring property owner. And then the one opposed expressed concerns about the impacts to the view, some concerns about proximity to a cell tower and health concerns, and then some comments on, sounds like some woodpeckers in the area. In terms of staff analysis, we do believe that this application does meet all the requirements and standards for a wireless communication facility. We think to mitigate any visual impacts, it would be appropriate to have a condition of approval that the tower is painted a neutral color. There's some information about the Telecommunications Act that we are prohibited from denying an application on the basis of environmental effects of radio frequency emissions, as long as they are complying with FCC regulations. And staff does believe that the applicant has demonstrated that there is a lack of cell coverage in the area and how the proposed coverage will benefit the public, and so we do recommend approval of the request. And I'll just leave you with the proposed coverage map for any questions.
Not at the moment. Thank you.
So now we'll have the applicant come up.
Good evening, Nathan Weiss, 601 R&R Heights, Weiss Towers. We have 2 applications for co-location on this site, one from Red Spectrum and Inland Cellular. Both have shown interest and, well, actually requested to go on this tower location. We leased the land from the Black family. The site itself is within the reservation of the Coeur d'Alene tribe. We reached out with to the Coeur d'Alenes to see if they had any property in the area, and they have no reservation land or deed property in the area to co-locate on or to go on their property, because they really entice communication towers on their property when possible. If you're going to build somewhere, they want to be on their property, but there is none in that vicinity. It's right on the reservation line. You go 1,000 feet to the north, you're outside the reservation. So we have the support from the tribe. They have 2.5 spectrum that they were awarded from the FCC, and they have a build-out requirement that ends this year to try to provide services to their members and to the general public also. So there's very poor, not just cellular service up in that area, but also any broadband service for internet purposes. So it can really help that area and can answer any questions.
Lightning protection. I didn't see any on your engineered drawings.
Which one?
Lightning protection.
Lightning.
Do you?
So the tower is grounded,
Okay.
and so it has a lightning rod that sticks up on top to catch that ground field in. That has been brought up lately. We've never ever experienced that before. Cell towers are generally built on higher locations, and so, or towers in general, not just cell towers. So towers are generally built where lightning would hit first, and they usually go above trees. So it's very common for towers to get struck over a tree or something, just because of the nature of the locations that those are at. For fire protection, we have the buffer around the area. It's fenced in, gravelled, and it enhances, by having communications in the area, you're able to use 911 and services. So you have those benefits by that. But lightning-wise, just strictly lightning rod and the ground field.
Do you have any issue with any of the conditions that staff has recommended?
I would not, only thing I would say is we'd rather not paint the tower. It does flake off. It's galvanized. On a gray day, it blends in gray. If blue and gray kind of go together. So green, there is trees there. You see that white trailer like in that one picture. So that would be the only thing. We really don't want to end up painting anything. It is galvanized, and so it protects it. But other than that, everything else we support, and staff did a good job.
So by galvanized, it's kind of not shiny, right?
Correct.
So the sun isn't going to hit it and blind somebody
It's not
from a
reflection.
distance
Yeah, it
away.
doesn't
Yeah.
reflect.
Okay.
And no lights required, and we don't do that unless FAA requires it, so definitely no lighting will be on there.
And you have other towers in the
We have
area?
constructed about 200 plus towers in Washington, Idaho. Been providing communication services and towers since 1989.
So how long does it take you to put one of these up?
About three months, generally speaking. And then the providers need to put their equipment on there, so it'll be at their discretion how soon they get their equipment on there. So we have, and Coeur d'Alene Tribe, Red Spectrum does want to get service there sooner than later, plus we're winter going into summer, so it takes about 3 months for us to get the tower once we place the order, so we'll be looking at this summer doing construction.
Okay, thank you. All right, I do not have any public comment sheets of any sort. Is there anyone on Zoom?
There's a Lydia W. with Inland Cellular may want to speak. There's also an Ann Watanabe. I don't know if she's here for this case or the next one.
Both of this.
Okay.
Yes, I am. This is Ann.
Well, go right ahead, Ann.
Name and address for the record.
Okay, yes, I don't want to, I just, letting you know I'm on the phone. I don't know if Lydia would like to speak first. I can go ahead and speak first. I'm here representing Inland Cellular. Address is 109 South 1st Street, Roslyn, Washington, 98941. We are a tenant planning on going on this tower. We chose this tower because we know the coverage will fill the void between St. Mary's and I-90 and Highway 3. There will be many benefits for it, not just for us, but for all the other carriers, considering that we have roaming agreements with all the other carriers, such as T-Mobile and Verizon and AT&T. So I did want to just come on here and ask any questions as being a tenant, or future tenant.
And just for the record, that was Lydia Weiss. Oh. Okay.
No, thank you. Sorry for not introducing myself.
Okay. And Anne? Do you need to unmute yourself?
She does.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, hello, good evening. Thank you very much. Yes, for the record, my name is Ann Watanabe. I'm representing the applicant. I'm counsel for the applicant, 109 South 1st Street, Roslyn, Washington, 98941. I want to thank Brooke for her staff report, of which we agree with. And we agree with the recommendations other than what Mr. Weiss mentioned, which was the recommendation 8.11 to paint. So if we could maybe reduce that requirement, that would be good. And we also agree with the agency's recommendations and the comments that they have put into the record. I just want to also mention as a bit of housekeeping administratively that Mr. Justin Abbott is not representing the applicant anymore of record. So I did send Ms. Hauser a note about that. So I just want to make sure that's clear. And yeah, I just want to reiterate that we do have interest in the tower from the Coeur d'Alene Tribe, from Red Spectrum, Inland Cellular, and Verizon. And I didn't hear any comments from the public, but I know there are comments in the record. And I just want to mention on the woodpecker, which was mentioned in the record, that we did do the FCC requires us to do a federal NEPA analysis, National Environmental Policy Act review, and there were no issues with birds or anything like that. So I just wanted to mention that. And I do believe that the applicant has demonstrated that there is a significant gap in coverage in this area. As in the cellular mentioned, along Highway 3 up to 97. And that I do believe the applicant has also demonstrated that this is the least intrusive means by which they can achieve this closing the gap of service. so that we did look at alternative sites, and there was nothing that we could see that was within a 5-mile radius. The only other alternative option would have been like a 10-foot long pole that was on a structure, so that's totally not feasible for what we're trying to do with this type of deployment. And I just want to mention, too, that since the county made a reference to the case law in their staff report about the Metro PCS case, I think that's a really important one because it does clarify that the significant gap in coverage is really for a carrier's own service area, so that, for example, if someone has an AT&T phone and they get service there, if a Verizon subscriber can't get service there, then Verizon, for example, or Inland Cellular, for example, would and should have the opportunity to bring service to close that gap in their service coverage. So I just wanted to mention that since that was referenced in the staff report. But other than that, we agree with the staff report, and I appreciate Ms. Hauser's efforts in working with me and getting the materials into the record. Other than that, I would be happy to take any questions as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. Any rebuttal? Since it was all you guys, I guess not. Then that concludes our hearing this evening on CUP 23-0004. We will now move to CUP 23-0008.
Thank you, Madam Hearing Examiner. Amy Hillen, planner for Kootenai County, for the record. I'm going to provide a brief overview. The application is very straightforward. My staff report provides a lot more detail. But if you have any questions, I am here and also representatives for the applicant. So the project is twofold. It is essentially for an expansion of an existing church, but it's also to bring the existing church into compliance. So the CUP accomplishes two goals. It's located off Sylvan Road, just approximately 0.8 miles south of Highway 54, and the city of Athol is located, it's very close to the city of Athol. Actually, I think the city of Athol also pours over here in this area. That's where Super One is. And if we look at Google Earth, you can get a better idea of where this is located and how flat it is as well. And there's also a lot of existing and heavy vegetation on the east side of the parcel. So this slide shows you a brief overview of what this will accomplish. Essentially, it is for a new administration building, approximately 3,500 square feet in size. It will offer more space for the church, such as a foyer, office space, classroom, or conference room. The existing church itself is non-conforming. It was built in 1986, and we didn't require CUPs back then. But our code requires that when you're expanding, you got to bring what's existing into compliance, and that's why it's being included in this application. But the size of the church, the congregation, the services are not expected to change. This will just offer more room for what they currently provide to their congregation. It is located over the Rathdrum Prairie Aquifer, but they do intend to use their existing well and septic system. When we look at the site plan, so axis, this is where Sylvan Road is to the east, and this is the end of their driveway as you get to the development area. Here's the existing church, and here's the new administration building, and this is a reconfiguration of what parking will look like after development. And their circulation and parking meets our standards for the Kootenai County Code. It is located in the rural zone, and according to the comprehensive plan, it's located in transitional. So we did ask for comments from the city of Athol, who did not have any concerns. And these are just a few photos to try and illustrate where the administration will be built. You'll see the existing church here and where the addition will likely go. And this just shows general parking, how it operates now. But I added these pictures to show you the existing vegetation on neighboring properties. When we went out to public agency comment, a majority of them really had no concern or comment, but to highlight some items, I believe they've already started to submit some building permit applications. A new thing that a lot of our building reviewers or on our building division side are offering are these pre-design meetings. And that's always recommended, and they can certainly do that now that even though they've already applied. It's always recommended. And then the Department of Environmental Quality did not have any concerns. There is an approved public drinking water system currently that is approved. They just state that it may require modification by an engineer as we move through the development process. So they just wanted the applicant to be aware of that. We don't know if it does currently, but as we develop, we'll know that for sure. So we did write in the conditions of approval that prior to us issuing any certificates of occupancy, that we confirm that they did meet those DEQ requirements. So we will confirm it during the development phase. And for staff analysis, meets all of our performance standards for a CUP for a place of worship. It's consistent with the Kootenai County Comprehensive Plan. There is a cargo container, but I confirm that it will only be used for as they develop the site, which is allowed for Kootenai County Code. We will need a site disturbance permit by a design professional. We require that for all of our commercial development in our Kootenai County Code. We did not find that any additional landscaping, screening, or fencing was required. And for the agency requirements, as I stated, will be made conditions of approval. And I stand for any questions that you have.
I don't have any right now, thanks, Amy. Okay, Carrie Cates is the applicant representative
Yes, ma'am.
and may wish to speak.
I have no comment, other than if I could answer a question.
Okay, and Caleb Rice
Yes, ma'am.
is in favor and may wish to speak.
No extra comments.
So no input from the applicant for testimony. Are there any public people from the public on Zoom?
It's all staff on Zoom.
Okay. Well, I appreciated the opportunity to see this building that I have looked at from 95 ever since I've moved here. My cases get me all parts of the county that I would never get to otherwise. So I enjoyed that, and I thought that your plan for providing a little bit more space made a lot of sense. So I have no further questions. There being no further testimony, that concludes our hearing this evening on CUP 23-0008. Thank you, everyone.
Goodbye.